Welcome everyone to my Vesna kit overview. The commander of the Tsarista's guards, Vesna, is set to release soon. In this kit overview, I will go over Vesna's kit and explain what she does, then go over her signature weapon, possible artifacts, and lastly, team options. Keep in mind that information in this video is not official and therefore highly subject to change, especially this early on. And without further ado, Vesna is a 5-star Anemo character from Snezhnaya. She wields a sword, has a crit rate ascension bonus, and is a main DPS dealing Stellar-Swirl damage. Stellar-Swirl has already been introduced with the release of Snezhnaya, but to recap what this reaction does, if your party has Snezhnaya 5 stars, including Sandrone, Odette, Cryo Traveler, and now Vesna, when Anemo and Cryo react, the Stellar-Swirl reaction is triggered instead of the swirl reaction, and a vortex is summoned. This vortex will detonate and deal damage after 3 seconds. However, if you trigger more Stellar-Swirl reactions while the vortex is on field, specifically 3 Stellar Swirls, the vortex will detonate immediately and deal increased damage and in a large AoE. Characters who have contributed to the swirl reaction will have their stats taken into account when the final damage is calculated. The vortex is an addition to Vesna's Stellar-Swirl teams, as she instead can deal direct Stellar-Swirl damage. If you have an enabling character in your party, direct Stellar-Swirl damage can be dealt for 8 seconds after triggering Stellar-Swirl. As swirl is a transformative reaction, Stellar-Swirl ignores enemy defense, but it can also crit, and it scales on attack, elemental mastery, enemy resistance, stellar damage bonus, and more. Moving on, Vesna can deal direct Stellar-Swirl damage by entering the Armed for Action mode through her elemental skill. During Armed for Action, Vesna gains 2 stacks of sword energy, and normal attacks are infused with a Nemo that cannot be overridden, and a Wind Pinion is summoned to deal some additional damage. Sword energy is a resource that allows her to use her special elemental skill, Windborne Sword, during the Armed for Action mode. Sword energy can be accumulated by using Vesna's normal attacks, Elemental Burst, and special skill Windborne Sword. She also starts with 2 points in the Armed for Action mode. Each use of Windborne Sword consumes 1 stack, and upgrades the damage of Windborne Sword, starting from level 1 to the next level, up to 3. With level 2 and 3, a Spirit Blade is summoned that deals direct Stellar-Swirl damage, with the most damage being at level 3. For example, Vesna starts with 2 stacks of sword energy as she enters the Armed for Action mode. As soon as you enter, you can use Windborne Sword by pressing her elemental skill. Windborne Sword is now upgraded to level 2, and pressing her skill again to consume the 2nd stack of sword energy will now unleash a level 2 Windborne Sword and now deal direct Stellar-Swirl damage through the Spirit Blade. The next use of Windborne Sword will be at level 3, dealing the most direct Stellar-Swirl damage. The Armed for Action mode lasts for up to 15 seconds, or after 3 level 3 Windborne Swords have been used, which is 5 casts of Vesna's skill during Armed for Action. Vesna's Elemental Burst will also summon a Spirit Blade to deal direct Stellar-Swirl damage. As her burst can also regenerate sword energy, it will likely be used during Armed for Action mode, possibly early on to upgrade Windborne Sword's level and stack her first passive. Vesna's first passive grants a stack each time her Elemental Burst or special elemental skill Windborne Sword is used. This can stack up to 6 times. Each stack will increase the base multiplier of the Spirit Blade's direct Stellar-Swirl damage by 10%, going up to 60%. Vesna's second passive grants her an additional 6% attack for every Cryo and Anemo party member, including Vesna. For party members of other elemental types, 25 elemental mastery is granted instead, allowing her to benefit regardless of party members' elemental type. Vesna also has a Stellar Jubilee passive, similar to other Snezhnaya characters, allowing her to enable the Stellar-Swirl reaction and increasing its base damage by up to 14%, scaling on her attack. This effect will require 2000 attack to reach the maximum effect. Additionally, as Vesna is a Fae, she has a neat exploration ability that allows her to fly in a similar fashion to Chaska. And in a similar effect to Night Soul Transmission, switching into Vesna while midair in Snezhnaya allows her to immediately enter the flight state. Moving on to Vesna's signature weapon, it has a base attack of 674 and increases crit damage by 44.1%. As for its effect, when a skill or burst is used, one effect is triggered and the next skill or burst triggers the next effect. The first effect increases crit damage by 48%. The second effect increases Stellar-Swirl reaction damage by 28%, and the last effect regenerates 3 energy. In most rotations, Vesna will use her skill to enter the Armed for Action mode, which already grants the 48% crit damage. During Armed for Action, she can immediately use Windborne Sword twice, which is an elemental skill, to grant the remaining 28% Stellar-Swirl bonus and 3 energy. This weapon will likely be her best in slot, and Vesna should be able to maintain a high uptime on the bonus effects, granting a total of 92% crit damage, 28% Stellar-Swirl reaction damage bonus, and even restoring energy. However, it might not be necessary to get, as Vesna should have access to some decent 4-star swords, some of which can be obtained for free, such as the Snezhnaya craftable Emberwell granting attack and stellar damage bonus, as well as a new event sword in version 7.1, which increases attack and can grant up to 208 bonus elemental mastery. As for possible artifact options, Vesna, being a Stellar-Swirl damage dealer, will likely use the Scarlet Proof set, which increases her attack, grants 16% bonus crit rate, and increases Stellar-Swirl damage by 40%. This artifact set also shares its domain with the Heart of the Furnace set, which is a stellar reaction support set, granting 50% stellar reaction damage to your party members, and will likely be used by party members in Vesna's teams. Which brings me on to her potential team comps. The Stellar-Swirl reaction requires Anemo and Cryo, and generally you would have Anemo and Cryo party members in your Stellar-Swirl teams, although there are some exceptions to this. Vesna herself is an Anemo unit, and having an off-field Cryo is almost going to be an essential part of her team. A second Anemo character can also be used to trigger the Stellar-Swirl reaction early on, allowing characters like Odette to deal Stellar-Swirl damage from the get-go in your first rotation, but also equip the Viridescent Venerer set. Odette, who can provide decent off-field damage, provide a stellar damage buff, and equip the Heart of the Furnace set, is probably going to be one of her best teammates. Other Cryo characters such as Chi-Chi, Escoffier, or Diona can also be pretty decent, but they'd usually be somewhat behind Odette in damage. Cryo Traveler is also a decent off-field sub-DPS, and can provide EM and stellar damage buffs with their constellations. 2 Cryo characters can also activate the Cryo Resonance, granting an extra 15% crit rate against enemies affected by Cryo. Faruzan, for all her buffs, is probably going to be a decent character to pair with Vesna, especially at her C6. Sucrose might also be another decent second Anemo option. Faruzan will likely be better, as Faruzan's Anemo resistance shred, crit damage bonus, and the quills she can provide are more suited for an Anemo character who is directly dealing damage. The exception for Anemo and Cryo party members can come in the form of the upcoming Vodyanitsa, or other attack buffers such as Nicole. With characters of other elements, you end up with fewer vortices, but with Vodyanitsa, she makes up with providing large buffs to Vesna. Vodyanitsa can provide a 30% Anemo resistance shred in Stellar-Swirl teams, and also provides a large additive damage bonus, or a quill to direct Stellar-Swirl damage, and not to mention that she can also use the Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayers, as she is a catalyst user, to provide Vesna with an attack buff. With someone like Vodyanitsa, you can go for a double Cryo team, or use a second Anemo character to get the Stellar-Swirl reaction going from the beginning of your first rotation. Currently, Vodyanitsa is more so of a side grade than Faruzan, but that's still subject to change. Nicole might probably also work here for her large party-wide attack buff, which can also benefit other characters like Cryo Traveler or Odette. Overall, Vesna does look somewhat interesting and strong. While she is still highly subject to change, Vesna right now will probably not be as strong as the other recently released stellar damage dealer, Snezhnaya, but there are still some potential improvements in the form of maybe newer Stellar-Swirl supports. And that's all from this kit overview. Thank you for making it till the end, and thank you for watching.